Yo, guys, it's Kyle coming at you from Bane's Film Reviews. This is the sixth in my series of interviews, and I'm very fortunate to have sitting across from me Rickey Bird, who is the writer and director. He also stars in Zombie Girl. Naked Zombie Girl is back years ago in 2014. He also wrote and directed Naked Zombie Girl, the original of this series. I was fortunate enough to get to watch both of them. Naked Zombie Girl is back, just premiered at Screamfest out in LA. It was a fantastic short film, and again, I'm fortunate to sit down with him and chat for a little bit. So, how are we doing today?
Good.
So what's this whole process been like? Sitting down and getting to watch other people watch your movie and stuff like that.
It was good. It was our first. We just premiered it at Naked Zombie Girls back at Screamfest, and yeah, it was a really good turnout. We had a lot of people come from Bakersfield. It's about an hour to 2 hours. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours away.
Okay.
So they all drove to see it, which was cool. There were some really good shorts in the block too, so that was really neat to get to see those.
Yeah.
And the audience reaction to Naked Zombie Girls back was like really good. A lot of people were talking about the film afterwards. It was good because it was a lot of hard work to get us to that point.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I mean, I imagine that you have a pretty niche group of individuals that seek out a film called Naked Zombie Girl is Back.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And I think you appeal to that group very, very well. I think you check basically every box that those individuals will be looking for. So kudos to you for that.
Thanks.
Of course. But I've never seen a movie quite like this. So this question is the same as I guess what I ask everyone else, but it's different for you because so I'm just curious, what is the process like making a film like this come to life?
The first one was really tough because everyone thought we were shooting a porno. So they, thankfully Megan Chadane was game to play the role, but I had a lot of people that normally work on my films not want to work on it because they thought it was going to be like, a lot more nudity, which I mean it has, but it doesn't, And the idea is, I told them, a lot of us, I guess I'm dating myself, but Home Improvement, The Neighbor, Wilson, never saw his face. So I said, that's all of the leads. There will always be something blocking or, just happens to be in the way. So you don't see everything because I feel like it's more interesting. I don't know. It looks cooler in the blood, just covered in a blood bikini, is really what we're going for. So that part was hard and it is tough, because usually it's freezing ass cold at night. So, to have, Megan naked in the first one did really well. Nicole in the second one, she did really well. And I've been super blessed to have actresses that are like game and, they, believe in the project and are willing to, give that extra effort, because it's hard. You're around a full crew, butt ass naked. So, it's definitely challenging, for them.
Right. And I think that kind of like what you mentioned, like the Wilson thing, I sort of connected it to John Carpenter's The Thing, where you never really see the monster per se. There's that you want to know, you need to know, and you never get to. So that kind of that not necessarily strings people along, but it keeps them interested enough throughout the entire thing. We're like, maybe they'll slip up at one point, maybe they're gonna give us a little something.
Yeah.
And you do a fantastic job of that. Like, what is it? How is that, or what is that process like? How do you go about making sure that every single detail is perfect? Because I mean, I watched it with that in mind, thinking there has to be, it's at some point they have to screw this up. There has to be a slip up somewhere, and there wasn't.
Yeah.
So what is that like, being that meticulous?
Well, so we had Nick Reisinger. He did both of the first and the second one, and we basically Nick makes a mold to form over the actress. So she's basically wearing like a skin bikini, like a codpiece kind of.
Okay.
And then we have and then just appliances, over her boobs and stuff, just so there's no, never a slip up there.
Okay.
Nicole had kind of shorter hair, so we used hair extensions, so her hair would, kind of drape over and hide a little bit more. There was a couple spots, but she was still covered, that you can
Hmm.
almost see something. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it's a lot to do with editing too, just trying to, once we've got everything, making sure that we, get the happy medium between the best shot
Right,
and
right.
the most coverage.
Yeah. So essentially, it's kind of like a prosthetic that sits over her. That
Hmm.
is something like that. Okay, because I that's fantastic. I didn't catch that either. So that's done
Yeah.
very, very well.
Yeah.
Um,
Nick did a really good job.
for sure, for sure. Um, and much like you have a very niche group of individuals that want to see it, I feel like you probably have a very niche group of individuals that want to be a part of this. So
Right.
what was it like trying to cast Megan and Nicole? Or I mean, eventually you did, but what was it like trying to find the actress to play that
Well,
role?
I basically I was working on another movie. I was acting in it called Trespass into Terror, and Megan's in it too.
Okay.
And she did a nude scene in there, and I said, "Well, would you be in one of my movies? I have this idea of a chick naked killing zombies with a chainsaw. Would you be willing to do it?" And we had just had our movie The Lackey came out, so we were getting a lot of buzz, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm game."
Mm,
So there was no dialogue in the first one, so I just drew stick figure storyboards, and that's what we shot off of.
okay.
Now, I've learned a lot more. I still wrote a script now, so it made it a lot easier to shoot. But the first one was very hard to shoot
Mm,
because we were just kind of checking poorly drawn stick figures as we shot. Um, but talking him into it, and then Megan was going to do the second one too, but she had some personal reasons she couldn't do it.
okay.
So I reached out to Nicole, and usually when you reach out to somebody for a role like this, it's kind of, you're hesitant because, nudity in any realm is an awkward subject. And then
Hmm.
it's also a hard thing to find someone that's willing to be nude and that can also act. It's
Hmm.
kind of a hard, usually it's an either or.
Yeah.
So when Nicole said she would do it, when Megan had to step down from the second one, I was super pumped. I thought I was going to have to talk her into it. She's like, "No, I'll do it." So, it was, and she said it was vigorating, I think is the word she used.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
um, and then aesthetically, they look pretty similar. That I mean, that was pretty good casting. I did do a double take at the beginning. I was like, that's not the same. That's not the same actress.
Yeah.
But they're very, very similar aesthetically. They both do a fantastic job. Um, and then, so where did the idea come from? I know this probably should have been the first question, but
Yeah.
how did this come to be?
Well, I like zombies. We had done a movie or a short called Wretched Flesh, and it was like a trailer. Sci-fi was really interested in it, and then we made a feature length called Phase Two, and it kind of got like, I guess, like taken over by the producers, and it wasn't our original
Hmm.
idea. It kind of like was really far away from our original what we had set out to do, and so we did a um like another little short thing with zombies, and I was like, man, this genre is like kind of dead and it's gonna die. What can we do? And I love Grindhouse. I love like Roger Corman style stuff. I
Uh-huh.
like the Planet Terror, Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror.
Yeah.
So I was like, we should do something like that. So we really went out, and I wanted to make something that was gimmicky, that had a good title. That's why we came up with Naked Zombie Girl.
Hmm.
Just something that would, stick. And then, you know, I I'm surprised. It was a mixed bag of people. Some people were like, "You're an idiot for doing it," and some were like, "Wow, this is genius." So it's definitely like I think you hit the nail on the head when you on your review when you said like it's definitely for a certain group of people. You know what I mean? But even people that aren't. I mean, it was really weird because we had a really big feminist movement in the UK that
Okay.
just love it, and they're like, "Oh,
Wow.
she's empowered, she's naked," and I've never even thought about that stuff. And so we tried to make her more of an action hero in the second one than we
Hmm.
did in the first one, to kind of give that, um you know pro women, powerful kind of role for her.
Right, right. That's the opposite direction I thought you were going with that story. I thought for sure that you said there was going to be some pushback from that movement in the
Yeah.
UK.
Well, I thought, yeah, usually like I have another film called Machine Gun Baby,
Okay.
and
I think
it
I've
got
actually heard of
rated
that.
the most. It's like a grindhouse. We tried to do like a trauma movie, but it's basically like it's a tough one, but the uh, the baby escapes his own abortion and comes back to kill his mom in the abortion clinic. And
Oh
it's a
my
puppet
goodness.
baby. It has a music video. It's on Amazon. You can watch it on Amazon. It's on our website. It's like $3.
Okay.
But it won a few awards, and that was super brutal. And a lot of people told me not to do that one. So I have a track record of stirring shit up. But I have a cheap movie tricks book, and it's available for anyone who wants to do their own short film. It's kind of like an
Yeah.
overview, definitely not in detail. But one thing that I put in there that I think is super crucial is there's a quote about well-behaved women rarely make history.
Hmm.
And I feel like that is true with film, especially with short
Oh,
films. And well-behaved films don't usually get that attention needed. So I wouldn't say think outside of the box, but do things that you really want to do, and not do things that other people think you should be doing,
Yeah.
because there's so many safe movies out there, that are all
Hmm.
safe. And when they see a
Yeah.
title like Naked Zombie Girl or Machine Gun Baby, I think like people, I think that's why trauma still exists,
Hmm.
because, and trauma is trash, but I love it. I'll watch them, and they're fun movies, and I think that's why why Lloyd Kaufman can still exist, because, people
Exactly.
like that
Yeah.
stuff still,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I like Roger Corman too, like even the remakes of his Triple or Piranha 3D and Triple D or whatever. Great,
Yeah.
great, great movies.
Right. Yeah, I think that idea of conformity is just kind of taking over Hollywood and the mainstream. And
Yeah.
I say it often in my reviews. I hope I'm not like beating a dead horse when I say it so many times. But like film is there so that you can express yourself in any way you feel necessary. If you don't like the movie
Right.
or if you don't like the topic, don't watch it.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that I'm sitting down talking with you, a filmmaker, and you're expressing that same sentiment. Because yeah, I hate the BS where they're like, well, that's not really that's not politically correct. Or that's not this. That's not that. And I get why we're pushing that. I understand it, but
Right.
this is supposed to be a safe space where you can do and say what you want.
Oh,
So
definitely. And I think the horror genre is the biggest space for that. And I think the
mhm,
horror genre allows you to, I mean, look at like Night of the Living Dead, the original. They have a black
yeah,
lead, one of the first, got a lot of pushback when that happened. And, George Romero, went on to be a very successful filmmaker. So
yeah,
I feel like, you push the envelope within horror films, and it's the easiest way, because I feel like the horror audience is more accepting,
yeah,
and they're usually more like, I guess, film lovers than I would say the majority. I think there's still like the people who like the Oscar movies and stuff like that, but the horror audience is like way, they're just, I guess, not as they're more open minded, I guess would be the
yeah.
best way to put it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think their expectation is for things to be a little more taboo, and so
Yeah,
that
exactly.
allows things to work better for them than most.
Definitely.
I'm kind of in that middle where I like the Oscars and I like this kind of stuff too.
See,
So
I do too. I like, a lot of the nominations, some of the ones that win, I'm like, why did it win? But still, I
exactly,
mean, I was so happy when Shape of Water won. I was like, finally something, like creative is winning.
yeah,
But um, I I just love movies, so I'm a fan of all movies. That's
right,
why even in my films, I do horror, I do comedy, I do. We did a western.
mhm.
I love pretty much every genre of movies.
That's cool that you can kind of step over the line and do different genres. because I feel like you typically find, especially those mainstream directors and writers, that kind of adhere to one specific thing. So it's cool that
Definitely.
you're able to blur the lines and do different things like
Yeah.
that. So that's really cool. How
Thanks.
did you get into film in general?
Well, I've always liked acting, so I've been like an
Mhm.
actor, so I cameo in most of my movies.
Yeah.
But I started as an actor. I wasn't getting any roles because I'm a ginger, and now I'm a bald ginger. So unless I'm doing stunts for Bill Burr, I think my options are pretty limited. But I ended up I was teaching drama um, at a church, and I got a call to be in a like a zombie kind of like a '60s kind of, I don't know, retro zombie movie or whatever.
Mm,
And I was casted. I got the lead role, and I'm going to the set expecting there to be, and this is before YouTube and everything. We're talking like 2003, I think.
okay.
And I go in there, and I'm like, I see the guy's got one camera and two or three lights, and I'm like, this is how you shoot a movie, like, man. And so I talked to my buddy Jason. I'm like, man, let's just shoot our own. So I talked those guys into letting me borrow their camera, and we started filming. And we attempted to shoot our first feature, which was called Daft. It was like a trippy kind of Requiem for a Dream style movie, because I like
Okay.
like trippy movies as well. And it was total trash, so we had to shit can it. But it's just that whole experience of how to make a movie and all that was, and I've always loved movies. I've always wanted to be involved with movies. I
Hmm.
just didn't know how obtainable it was at that time, and now it's like with DSLRs and cell phones, it's even more obtainable now.
Yeah.
But then it was like, holy shit, we don't need a big set, we don't need all these extra things. And then through the process, I learned more about lighting, sound, and the different elements,
Sure.
as we went on. But you got to kind of be a jack of all trades, good at none kind of deal.
Yeah.
So that, but I mean, the love for movies, and then loving, we've always, me and my friend Jason, who started Hectic Films, we've always been like the class clown, or coming up with
Okay.
stories, different skits and stuff. So we did a lot of skits, and then we started getting into the feature realm. So
Okay. Yeah, because the creative aspect is not my thing. I can throw my opinion on a piece of paper easily, but the
yeah.
creative aspect is not my thing. I once skipped a creative writing class in college because I knew that I had to present it to the class, and I said, "There's no effing way I'm going to present what I just wrote to class."
Yeah.
um, and I mean, still, I kind of feel the same way. I'm not presenting stuff that I write to class, other like unless it's my opinion. So
Right.
so that I mean that this is a tough job. I understand
Oh,
that
definitely.
it's a very difficult job. Uh, I commend each and every one of you guys that takes the plunge and gets in there any way that you can. I have a good friend of
Thanks,
mine
man.
that's of course. I have a good friend of mine that's trying to get into it, and he's on some short films and stuff like that, and just stuff for himself. But he's decent.
Right.
If you can send me a link to your book, I would love to
Oh,
get him
yeah.
a copy.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I'd love to get him a copy because I'm sure that would help him out a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and then so I ask everybody favorite movie, favorite movies, how do they inspire you, things like that. Or maybe they didn't inspire you, maybe you just love them for silly
Like,
reasons.
what your favorite movie? What?
So just your favorite movie or movies, and then if they have inspired you, how so?
That's always a tough one for me because I have a lot of favorites.
Okay.
I can't even get into a top 10, because I'm fucking terrible at it. But I would say, and this is really weird, but the one that made me want to start making movies when I was a kid was Jurassic Park. I saw that in the
Okay.
theater. I love dinosaurs. The dinosaurs were real to me. It was
Hmm.
just so mind blowing to me
Yeah.
that we were seeing this on screen. So that would be one that just made me want to make films.
Yeah.
I would say North by Northwest was like, you know, something where it like took a story to a new level for me, where it was like
Hmm.
almost like I could put myself in Cary Grant's position, like a mistaken identity kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
thought that was really intense. And then just like I feel like seeing movies like Sin City, a lot of, I
Hmm.
mean, I think Robert Rodriguez is hit and miss, even though he's one of my favorites. But seeing how he pulls off things, like in his backyard and warehouses and things like that. It's very inspiring to me. Just watching his, like, every film he comes out with usually has the 10-minute film school on his Blu-ray or DVD, and they're
Yeah.
always like very interesting. But I would say like those type of movies. But I mean, I loved like Terminator and RoboCop. Like Terminator 2 is like, definitely another high one on
Mm,
the, just the action, the feeling, the lighting, just that whole sense is really cool. But
right.
again, I have a lot of movies, but I'd say movies in general just make me want to make more. I think Walt Disney, I have the quote on my website too, but Walt Disney said it best. He's like, we don't make movies to make money. We make money to make more movies. And I feel like that's where I'm at. I like to just, like when someone hits me up with an idea. I did this mob film for a friend of mine. He hired me, and it's called Booze, Broads, and Blackjack. And it was like,
Mm,
never done a mob film before. And is it the best mob film? Probably not. But for our budget and, what we had going on, it was, I felt it turned out pretty well.
yeah.
But it's just like, I love Goodfellas. Like, to me, Goodfellas is one of the most, I feel like it's better than Godfather, but, a lot of people will tell me whatever. But Goodfellas is, to me, just such a great movie, great camera work, great acting, like telling a story like the best way possible.
Yeah.
I hands down. Yeah, super epic. But again, anytime I see a movie, it inspires me in
Yeah.
some, some form.
Yeah. A friend of mine who's big into music once told me, he said, I think there's something to like about every single song. And I feel the same
Yeah,
way about film. There's something to enjoy about every single film.
yeah,
And it's interesting that you said Jurassic Park. I teach English, and to start the year, I had them write reviews. So I showed them movies that they hadn't seen before. I showed the older kids iRobot, and I showed the seventh and eighth graders Jurassic Park. And they, the kids that I work with, are a little bit vocal about the way they feel about certain things, and they
yeah,
sat there and they just talked shit about it for the entire thing. And then, but the fact that they were quiet for the most part for like 2 hours tells me something different. So the
yeah.
fact that from 1993 until now, it still holds up. Yeah,
Oh,
fantastic film.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Um, but of course, they grew up on the Jurassic World stuff, not the Jurassic Park stuff. So it's completely
yeah.
different for them. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and Jurassic World wasn't too bad. I just, now that
No,
the second one, I didn't watch the third one, but the second one, it was like, oh man, where are we going with this? The first one was okay, but I felt like they gave like a good homage. I saw a lot of the stuff, but
yeah,
because I love Jurassic Park, I agree with you. It still holds the testament to time now,
yeah,
and it's almost, what, 30 years old.
yeah,
That's pretty good. Same with Terminator 2, though. Terminator 2, it's like, wow,
yeah.
they hold up way better than the Mummy. But the Mummy looked like trash when it came out. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
everybody. Oh, I love the Mummy. I'm like, it looked like a part in a video game that you're gonna play, and then it starts off with the shittier graphics. When you
right.
start playing it.
Yeah. Well, first thing, you're not missing anything with the most recent Jurassic World. Um, it was not as good as I hoped it would be.
Really,
And yeah, they veer from the story in a way that they shouldn't have. Um,
man.
yeah,
And
and
they had
then
everybody back too, Alan Grant, and
and
it's
they
like,
they did a
man,
great they did a great job. I was worried they were going to give them like a 2 minute cameo and that was going to be it, but they had a lot of screen time, so I was impressed with that aspect, and they fit that in
that's
very
good.
well. It seemed very natural, but the story just so bad.
So whack. Yeah.
um,
The second one
and
was whack. I'm like, it kind of went off on the Star
yeah,
Wars deal where it was like Force Awakens was, I liked Force Awakens.
yeah,
And then the second one, I'm just like, wow, this is trash. And then the third one, it's like they just
it's like
felt
no,
like JJ Abrams was just like making shit up and throwing, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. And then I'm embarrassed to say, and I know why, but Terminator 3 is my favorite because when I was growing up, I was at the age where I was able to actually sit in the theater and watch Terminator 3. So it was the
right.
first one that I sat in theaters to watch, and it just has been my favorite since, even though I know for sure, I know it's not the best one, but
Well, and I feel like that's the same way with my son. So my son, he just turned 22 and he likes the prequels. I hate the prequels and
okay,
Star Wars,
I
so, but
love
that
them.
was his Star Wars. That's what he grew up with. So I've had to like you know, lessen my hate, I guess. But we watched them in the theater whenever Force Awakens came out, and I was
Yeah.
like, you know, they're still interesting to watch,
Mhm.
but it's like, again, just cringe worthy dialogue, cringe worthy acting. Like it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It just reminds me of like someone that had a lot of money and no story or real direction. They're just like, oh, you know, and then the last trilogy. But again, I talked to people that like the new trilogy too, and I don't, you know, I mean,
I've heard people say that the Last Jedi and those are not bad, and
yeah.
I have some choice words for them.
Yeah.
um,
Well, and I feel like the you know what, when you have a different, movies are great because they have you have a full experience around them. Like you said, you saw this movie in the theater, you
mhm.
know, you know, you're not some like you know, hater, you know, the third one's coming out, you know, you're just going in there to see a movie. And that's what, at the end of the day, and I think a lot of filmmakers forget this, is movies are made for entertaining. You know, that's
Yeah.
why someone who doesn't make any movies can have an opinion about it and it'd be valid, because you know it's a form of entertainment, you know, and if you're
Mhm.
not entertaining people, then you're not doing your job, you
Right.
know. And I think now we've gotten to these things where we're, you know, things need to be canon in our nerd worlds,
Yeah.
you know, so they're kind of screwing with the story. So if they don't do it just right, it does get a little frustrating. But you know, at the end of the day, a lot of the, you know, even, I mean, I saw the second Star Wars, which I hated, and that I don't remember which Jedi killing whatever. But I watched it again, and we were like, a lot of the shots were really cool. You know, some of the explosions were dope. You know, even though it seemed
Yeah.
like a dragged out Babylon 5 episode, you know, it was still, you know, cool looking. You
Yeah.
know, so, and
For sure.
again, I had two people I was with that really liked it, and you know, I just, you know, didn't. I chose I could have chose violence, but I chose something else, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Not worth it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. So again, I want to thank you for sitting down with me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no
Um,
problem.
good conversation. I'm glad that we kind of went off script a little bit and we just talked. Um,
Yeah.
but I want to know, where can whoever's watching this, where can they find your films? Specifically, Naked Zombie Girl and Naked Zombie Girl is back.
So you can find all of our films in the dollar bin at Walmart. No, I'm just joking. So we have hecticfilms.com,
Mhm.
um, which has all of our films. Any film you buy from there goes directly to the film company. We have, you know, everything we've made there. We also have Naked Zombie Girl movie, and that's got the
Mhm.
original short. And once the second short is released, that will also be available. We have
Okay.
Naked Zombie Girl t-shirts on the website as well. And then any updates, like if there's a screening, because we're on a festival tour with that one right now. So
Cool.
any screenings or anything like that will either be on the Naked Zombie Girl movie face or website, or on the Facebook page, or both. But Hectic Films is our hub for all of our movies. And then we also have, I have my own website, rickeybird.com, which I also have some Naked Zombie Girl stuff on there as well, along
Mhm.
with my book, the Cheap Movie Tricks book, that talks about, you know, Naked Zombie Girl and a few other of our films that we've done.
Very cool. And again, make sure you send me that because I want to buy a
Yeah,
copy for my buddy.
definitely.
Um, but again, thank you so much for sitting down. It was a good time. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you for
I know,
having me. I
of
appreciate it.
course, I know you're a busy guy, so I,
Yeah.
I like that you took some time out to sit down with me
Yeah,
and
no worries, man.
talk. Fantastic films for you guys watching out there. Make sure you guys check out these films, all of the short films. If they're anything like Naked Zombie Girl and Naked Zombie Girl is back, you will enjoy them for sure. Uh, so you have a great day, and thanks again.
You too, man. Yeah, no problem.
Bye.
Thank you.
Of
All
course.
right. Hey, and
Bye.
I love all the movies in the back. I'll show you my videos at the studio. I got a 4,000 VHS tapes.
Oh my goodness,
I think
that's
you'll dig it. I'll
insane.
take a picture. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not even close to there. We have like 2,400.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was for our escape room. We did the video store escape room. We had a bunch of VHSs. It was super cool. So the escape room went down. I had to take them all to the studio, but we kind of geared it
Yeah.
up. Looks like a vintage blockbuster.
Oh
So
my goodness, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely send me
yeah,
some pictures.
hell yeah.
All
All
right, take care, man.
right, brother. You too. Thanks.
See you. Of course.
Bye.
Bye.